Welcome back to another episode of Talking Tuong, the now quarantine show where I get to connect with my friends from far and wide and close by, and we're just trying to create an environment which is just a bubble of positivity, man. I sound like I'm high right now, but I'm not. I am not, because I am high on my next guest, who's with me here today through the internet. And this guest doesn't know this, but we use a random adjective generator now to introduce our guests. So you are now the normal, maniacal Axandre Lemours. Wow. So
you know what? I will take that. It's got a very...
I don't think you're normal.
No. I mean, I don't think I'm normal either, but I mean, I think my first thought was Syndrome from The Incredibles. Normal, but maniacal. He's a regular kid who has super powerful technology and wants everybody to suck because he sucks.
You know what? I like that. You are the syndrome of all my guests that ever been on the show.
How dare you?
You're the one who made that analogy.
When everyone's super, no one is.
Well, Axe, it's really nice to have you here back in the pod cavern. Now, this may be surprising to you, but some people listen to the show and have never heard Ranked before.
That is odd.
It is weird. Isn't it weird?
Ranked is the OG.
It is the OG, but somehow they make it to this show and only listen to this show, which is flattering. But
yeah, it's nice.
It's strange. But some people don't know who you are. So can you introduce who you are, what you're all about, what you've been doing during quarantine, and what makes you happy?
Oh, sure. Okay. I am in Ottawa, Ontario. I am an occasional actor, dancer, singer on various stages in town. I work for the National Arts Centre. I like all things art, but mainly movies and theater and video games. So that's a lot of what I've been doing through quarantine. A lot of movie watching, a lot of TV watching, a lot of catching up on video games I said I'd play, but really haven't touched in years, and they're just sitting in my Steam account. So that's been a lot of fun, catching up on stuff.
I actually, that's my favorite part about quarantine.
Yeah.
Not that I don't want to be outside, I do, but being able to catch up and just sink hours into video games, which I couldn't do before quarantine. It feels really good.
Yes, get through that backlog. Jenna, all those games that came out years ago and everyone was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. It's so hype. You get to join those conversations now.
Hollow Knight.
Did you know that the cake is a lie? Holy shit, dude.
Well, Axe, I'm so excited that you're saying all this because Talking Tuong, as you know, is the show where we not only talk about the movie of the week that you chose, which we'll save for later, but we also get to talk about all the things that you've been doing during quarantine, TV, movies, video games. That's all we talk about.
I love it. I'm down. And yes, you mentioned...
talk about... Oh, go ahead.
You mentioned Hollow Knight. Sorry.
Oh, yes. So good.
I've been saying best game of 2017.
Yeah, he's been saying that for since 2017. So.
It's fantastic. I mean, it's just that you can get that amazing of a story that you have to find for yourself, which I love as an avid fan of Dark Souls, for $15. And it gets you like a 30-plus hour playthrough if you want to get as much done as possible, is a steal and wild, and everyone should play it.
Yeah, it's actually not. It's not that this episode's about Hollow Knight, but I finished my playthrough in 24 hours, and I didn't touch any of the DLC that I know of. So, and that stuff's free. So yeah, that
it is.
Take another 10 hours. And yeah, I spent I got it on a sale, so it was like $10 or something.
It's ridiculous, and it's just the controls are really good. It's a really good it's a really good example of a solid Metroidvania on top of being a rabbit hole of a game.
Absolutely. Now we are going to go into the news of the week, and now you're like, oh, I don't want to hear about video games. Well, too bad. My next couple news stories is about video games.
Hell yeah!
We're going to nerd out here. My news is pulled from IGN headlines, just kind of cobbled together. We haven't done an episode of Talking Tuong in the last couple of weeks. I'm not going to recap all that stuff. I'm mostly talking about the last week of this recording.
Good.
Now,
it's been a big week.
Let's talk about... we can just dance around this. Last of Us Part 2 just came out. So we're
Yes,
not
it
going to
did.
spoil anything.
No spoilers, no
No
spoilers. Though
spoilers.
I don't have a PS4. I did briefly, and I've played a few exclusives. But I do really like Naughty Dog's video games, and I love their storytelling. So I watched Uncharted 4 on YouTube. I watched all the cutscenes with minimal gameplay and no
Mm.
commentary. So it took about 4 hours. It was kind of like a movie, which was cool. I just did the same with The Last of Us 2
Oh my
because that's on
god.
YouTube already. It was 11 hours.
Oh my god. That's so crazy that you're able to
Yeah.
like watch the cutscenes, but there's so many like mini stories within like moving around the world and stuff.
Yes, it definitely helps that these games are more linear, and those are included too. Like
Oh,
this
cool.
huge 11-hour video that I watched included a lot of the small dialogue while you're walking your character around or looking for stuff. So I thought that was a nice touch.
Great. I wanted to talk more about it, but I'm still playing it and I definitely don't want to be just even hinted at a spoiler.
I
So
know, I know. I don't want to. I really don't want to say anything because, yeah, like people have their problems with the story, and that's probably related to the way to how it leaked a while ago, and they had to push it, which was
yeah.
unfortunate. But like, I thought it was pretty solid. Overall, I don't think I enjoyed the story as much as I did the first one.
Yeah, I mean like
Um,
that's to be expected almost, you know. How do
yeah,
you
but
live up
it
to that rant like that high caliber kind of thing?
yeah, and even then, it seems like the story of the first one on paper is kind of generic, but it's just executed perfectly.
Hmm.
And it's similar with this one. I just don't think it's as good a story, which is fine, but it was executed really well, and I love the way that I guess it's more of a thing now, but the voice actors, they do the voice work and the motion capture at the same time, which is why the game looks like a friggin' movie.
It
And
looks
the
so
animations
fucking
always look really
good.
clean. Yeah,
It
yeah, yeah.
looks
And on
so
top of
fucking
that,
good.
the art is gorgeous.
And I just like the world. I've only played 5 hours, but only. But just a casual 5 hours.
Yeah,
The
you
game
know,
literally just came out.
since it came out on Friday.
But I love just being back in the world and world building through it. And like, you know
Hmm.
what? I love an excuse to return back to this world. I love the gameplay. But let's move on before I accidentally say something.
Yeah,
So
okay, good call, good call.
um, let's see here. Tenet was delayed. So that's the
Hmm.
Christopher Nolan movie, but it's only been
Yes.
delayed another like 2 weeks. So it's not even that big a deal.
Yeah, what
Or
is it now? Mid July?
yeah, it was supposed to be July 17th and now it's July 31st.
Ah,
So
okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, same thing, got pushed from actually this is more so, but it went from August 14th to October 2nd.
Yeah, the fall is going to be weird. Like, I hope we can get back to to movie theaters. I know that drive-ins are something that people are trying to get off the ground now, which is always cool. I'd be down to
Yeah.
go to a drive-in. But I know, like, in terms of release dates and everything that's trying to release in the fall as opposed to next year, it's going to be wild. It's
So
going
this
to be
brings me
odd.
to my next point, which is so AMC and Cineplex are both opening up again. Both of
Mhm.
them have their own type of like hand sanitization and like COVID measures of social distancing, whatever.
Yeah,
AMC walked back and now requires masks to
that's
be
good.
in theater, and Cineplex is optional, which is ridiculous. And it
Yeah.
kind of brings me to my point of for me, like I was super pumped for Tenet, super pumped for Mulan. I would definitely watch Wonder Woman in a heartbeat. Like all
Mhm.
these movies, for sure. I love the theater. Like I've complained in multiple episodes of Talking Tongue that it's nothing like the theater. And that's why I love going to it. But like people at
Yeah.
the theater piss me the fuck off. And
Hmm.
it kind of goes back to this point here where I am not prepared to go to a movie theater during COVID. And I just don't want to be in this environment where people are already stupid about it. And you can't
Yeah.
put all these measures in place, but people suck and they'll do something about
People
it.
suck, and they won't do it just because it's a free country or some other such bullshit. And
Exactly.
we don't have time. We don't have time for that. It's just we want to see a movie, but we also want to be safe. So if Cineplex is offering these options, fucking do it. It shouldn't be an option. And like
Yeah.
AMC saying that people won't require masks and then walking that back literally 2 days later is dumb as fuck. Like they did it for the exposure, I think. and
Yeah.
then and then finally someone either came to their senses or was like, oh, okay, there's enough publicity now everyone's going to come to AMC. which is
Yeah,
just
I just don't even
dumb,
know.
and I
Like,
don't
would
like
you
it.
go? Like, I just feel as though I just don't even want to see a movie under those circumstances, anyways. I
Yeah.
appreciate that they want to do it. I really do. It's just not the environment that I want to be in.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'd go right away, especially since there's, a lot of good content that's still coming out on streaming platforms that I can
Hmm.
watch, from the comfort of my own couch. So, yeah, I'm not sure. And like I definitely get that the movie going experience is important, but for me that depends a lot on the movie,
Yeah.
Like I had to see The Force Awakens in theater. I had to see Endgame in theater. I had to see
Oh
Mission
yeah.
Impossible in theater. But everything else, stuff that isn't a big blockbuster or something that a lot of people are anticipating, I don't necessarily need to go to the movies for.
So Tenet, Mulan, Wonder Woman, I would consider those like pretty big
Right?
movies that I would love
Like,
to see on a big ass screen with great sound, but
yes,
I
and
am willing to
Christopher Nolan,
not
yeah.
go. I'm willing to not go to the movies if we, under this current circumstances,
Hmm.
like if people say like, oh, it was fine to do it or whatever, I might consider going. I'm not saying like a hard no. It's just I don't feel comfortable going to the movies
Yeah.
still.
And that's a good call, definitely. And I mean, yeah, Tenet would be nice on a big screen. Anything Nolan does would be nice on a big screen. But especially this one, 'cause I have no idea what the hell happens in it.
Oh yeah,
Like
nobody
time travel,
does.
maybe I don't. Whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
10 out of 10.
Moving on. We're moving on here. Let's see. Speaking of movies, Jurassic World 3 is coming back and resuming production.
Right? Yes. There's
And
a
this is a
few
story
productions that are
because they spent $5 million to like implement
to
like $5
COVID
million
proof the
dollars
place.
COVID proof the place, and I'm going to
Yeah.
read you a quote here.
Mhm.
The safety measures will include the commission of a private medical facility called Your Doctor to manage the
Oh,
entire production's medical needs, COVID training for all cast and crew, on site doctors, nurses, and isolation booths, 150 hand sanitizer stations, nightly
wow.
antiviral fogs. I don't know what that means. More than 1,800 safety signs put around Pinewood and green zones for shooting cast and crew. Masks will be obligatory other than for actors while performing.
Dang. I mean, that's honestly that's a good model for a film set, especially one that is going to be as big and expensive as a Jurassic Park movie. Like
Yeah.
you can definitely keep the actors 6 feet apart while they're doing their thing, depending on the scene.
Yeah.
So I think it definitely doesn't sound like they're doing the bare minimum. It sounds like they're definitely trying to go the extra mile while also making sure that they deliver their product. So
Yeah.
if production companies are going to continue to resume production, which still seems like an early thing to me at this point,
Yeah.
then these are some solid precautions to take.
I agree. I also don't like, obviously at some point the machine has to run again, and
Hmm.
it, for me, it does seem so soon too, but it's like, man, that's a lot of money and a lot of precautions just to get a movie off the ground. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, what's the return here? Like Mulan, going back to this, like it was supposed to be one of the biggest Disney openings for like in a while. Like it was
Yeah.
supposed to be huge. Now when
For
it
sure.
comes back to theaters, like I said, I'm not going to go to the movies right away. So how like how are movie theaters or movies in general going to make its box office, money
Right.
basically?
Well, you've got movies like Trolls World Tour, which released
Oh,
direct
true.
to streaming services and made more money than the second movie did at its opening box office. So
Wait,
it's
wasn't Trolls
definitely.
World Tour the second one?
Sorry,
Or
yeah. Was it?
okay, I don't know, I didn't watch the first one, so
Anyway, yeah, yeah, right. God, now I'm not. Now I forget. No, there was a Trolls 2, wasn't there?
I don't know. I thought this was the second one, but I
Jesus
don't know.
Christ! And sorry, we need to get this information correct for our listeners. But anyway, it made more money streaming than the previous film did in its opening weekend.
Right.
So there's definitely a possibility there.
Hmm.
And then this is for a Trolls movie, so I think imagine how well that could bode for something in a more established franchise, like a Disney film. It's just that Disney will probably never do that, but it's
Well, they
it's,
did
it's an
Artemis
option.
Fowl, so but even though that
Yeah,
was a big
yeah. Artemis
whatever.
Fowl looks like a dumpster fire. That's how
Oh
I've
yeah,
heard
it was
about it.
terrible. But whatever. It's a Disney film, so who knows? Maybe one day.
Yeah, I feel bad for like 12-year-old me because he loved Artemis Fowl and he like
Mm.
dreamed of seeing it on the big screen, and now it just seems like they rushed it to fuck, and it's just it looks like trash.
um,
Sad.
rushed it fastly, or not rush to fuck sounds bad.
Oh God.
Let's see here. Let's go into video game news again.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just kind of all over the place here. Now, there was a PS5 announcement, which was a couple weeks ago.
Yes.
But let's not dive too deep into it. Let's say, was there two games that stood out to you with the
Sure.
PS5?
Absolutely. Okay, yeah, I definitely know mine. So Spider-Man, Miles Morales,
Of course.
of course. I feel like it'll also release on PS4, and there might be some other games that do that too.
For
Which I'm
sure.
which I'm totally fine with. Like, that doesn't really matter much to me. But it just it looked fantastic, and I'm a huge Miles Morales fan, and just the way they changed up his design means that there now are black people who work at Insomniac and know what he's supposed to look like. Because you
Oh
look at
yeah.
Miles Morales from the Spider-Man PS4 game, and he looks kind of terrible. His lips are all fucked up. His hairline is jacked. It's just a circle. Like, no, they did my man dirty, but this one looks fantastic. So I'm
Yeah,
cool
they
with that.
consulted, not consulted. I think they might have actually consulted, but they also gave or let the Into the Spider-Verse people take a look at
Solid.
Miles Morales too. So they're like, oh, because now that's the gold standard of Miles Morales, I think,
Basically.
and
Yeah,
as it
it looks
should be,
really,
because
it
that movie
looks
fucking rocks.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And this one looks really good. Apparently it will only be about half as long.
Yeah.
So it's not a full-fledged sequel. It's really because Miles Morales was kind of established in the first game as a
Mhm.
character, and as a character at the end who reveals that he has spider powers. So it makes sense that this is kind of like the infamous spin-offs, in that this is a spin-off game set in the same universe that probably won't be as long, but is also a fun adventure starring a different character.
Yeah, like the
And I'm totally
Uncharted
cool with it. Yes,
Lost
yeah, the
Legacy
Uncharted
thing.
spin-offs are really good too. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah,
It
it's
looks
gonna be
really
good.
nice.
It's gonna be great. And is there one
Um,
more?
yes, the Demon Souls remake. I
Oh,
I am a From Software stan, and I think it was a bit of a convoluted mess as to why Demon Souls was never ported to PC or any other stuff like that, or why it's been sitting in a vault. Essentially, I think Sony owns Demon Souls as opposed to the rest of the games. So
mm.
it can only ever be a PlayStation exclusive. So From Software is not actually involved much in the remake.
Is it a
Um,
remake or is it a sequel? I thought
it's
it was a
no,
sequel.
it's a remake. So Demon Souls is the first Souls game. It came out in 2009 on PS3.
Hmm.
And so this is a remake of that. And what I like about it is that the developer that's taking the helm is Blue Point Studios. They were in charge of the remake of Shadow of the Colossus that came out on PS4, and that was an awesome
Oh,
remake.
it was.
It looked
It
and
really was.
played really, really well. I got a chance to play it at my friend's place a while back, and it's really good. So I'm totally cool with that. Every other studio is working on it too, so I've got a lot of faith in it. And the trailer looked really cool, and it's also an almost shot for shot remake of the original Demon Souls trailer. So I was nerding out
That's so
the,
interesting.
the
I for
entire
some
time.
reason looked at it and I thought it was a sequel, but that's really cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got to see that. They see the name Souls and they're like, "Oh, sick, a new one." And then they find out that this is actually like the granddaddy, like the predecessor, the precursor to
Right.
the huge Dark Souls franchise that kind of took off. Because the original did do well. It did well in Japan, and then it came to the West, and it did pretty well here. But it was more of a niche following. And then
Mm.
Dark Souls is the one that really hit the mainstream and like fundamentally changed 3D action RPGs forever. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Demon Souls had a lot of those ideas first, and I'm
Yeah.
excited to give that another play when I
Yeah.
eventually get a PS5, maybe in like a year.
When it's not like $1,000 or
Exactly. It looks so. Oh, but
whatever.
like, question. So, do you think you'll get the regular model or the digital edition?
Do you think what I would get? I want to see the
Yeah,
price difference, and I want to see, like, I basically want to see the price difference
it's
because, like,
price and storage to me. Yeah.
because exactly, and I only get digital games these days. It's very
Hmm.
rare that I'll get a physical game. Usually, someone gifts me a physical game, which is still
Hmm.
pretty cool. And I don't usually trade games with people because I'm weird about
Yeah.
giving my games to people.
Yeah.
Just because I'm like, I'm never gonna get that back as soon as I lend it to somebody. So,
Hmm.
um, so I'm just the other thing is like. I guess if it's like if it's like a 4K player, then that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I need a Blu-ray player, I guess, but even then, I've digitized so many other aspects of my life at this
Yeah,
point. Like, I have, I have a Kindle for all my books. I have a bunch of movies on the hard drives in my computer, but I only have like 4 or 5 Blu-rays of movies I really love that I've
yeah.
kept. Otherwise, I've like sold or traded away all of the other ones that I had. So,
Exactly.
if
So it
the
has to be a healthy discount if it's just digital only. And I think we
yes,
finally live in an age where I'd be like, yeah, just give it to me, like whatever. I don't need
hmm
again, unless it's like a 4K player, because I don't have a 4K TV, but maybe one day that'd be
yeah, right.
cool.
That'd be nice. And even then, you can like, yeah, you can upscale or downscale, whatever it is. I'd Yeah, it's the price difference, and also in terms of the storage options. If the hard drive on the digital edition is big enough, because you've got games that are pushing and exceeding 100 gigabytes of
Oh,
space, right?
easy.
So, like, sure, 1 terabyte sounds nice, but a couple Call of Duty games, and that's 20%.
I
That's
mean,
20.
one
It's
Call of
twenty
Duty
percent
game.
full. Yeah, I think the biggest game I have that I could install right now is Middle Earth: Shadow of War. So I mean, not even out, didn't even come out this year. I think it came out like last year or the year before. But according to Steam, it's like 110 gigabytes to install,
Fuck.
which is large. It's
Yeah. Even
stupid
Final
big. It,
Fantasy
it
VII
seems stupid
Remake
big
is
to me.
huge too. Yeah.
Yes,
Uh,
for sure. So like I could, if the storage is also replaceable, that'd be nice because you can place the hard drive in a PS4
yeah.
with a big old SSD and reduce your load times. But then this one's going to come with a solid state drive. I just hope it's big enough. And I
Yeah.
mean, we're getting into like nitty gritty tech stuff, I guess. But if the solid state drive makes it way more expensive, that would be unfortunate because SSDs they've become pretty ubiquitous, but it's still more expensive to get one as
Yeah,
opposed to a
exactly.
regular hard drive. So I don't
We'll
know.
see what happens. We'll see what
Yeah.
happens. I'm under the impression, like for me, price of a console doesn't matter as much. I know a lot of people get turned off by this, but
hmm
basically, I think about it in the way that like people buy a phone every single year.
Yeah.
Like a new phone, not UX, because I know you get a new phone, but usually just trade it or do like a Kijiji
I've
hunt.
been buying used for a long
Yeah.
time.
But a lot of people are like, I need the new iPhone, I need the new Google phone, what Samsung phone, whatever it is, and it
Uh-huh.
ends up being them like $2,000 every single year, which is a ridiculous amount of money for a phone every single year.
Definitely.
Console on the large and most expensive end of things can cost you about, let's say, $700,
Uh-huh.
and the console will last you years, whereas the phone
Yeah.
is like a 1 year, 2 year thing. So that's why I'm just like, I can always justify it because I'm like, well, it's a computer, it'll play all my games, and I'm going to use it for a very long time.
Yes. Yeah,
So
exactly. I mean, console, yeah, and the cycles they've gotten longer and longer, right? The longest one I think is still the PS3 and Xbox 360, but then the PS4 and Xbox One have been out since 2013. So
yeah,
it's already been quite a while, and a lot of people can justify that kind of purchase, which is totally fine. I just
yeah.
don't want it to cost $800.
I also don't
That's
want.
really just a
Let's be
whim.
clear. I'm not rich. I also don't want it to cost $800. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I if it ends up being, because it looks like it's on track to being like $600, $700. If it was that price,
Yes.
I would still buy it. The only thing that's going to prevent me from buying it right away is games, because I need there to
hmm
be game. Like if there's a stuff I can already play on the PS4, I'll probably just play on the PS4, get a little bit more
Yeah.
life out of it.
Totally.
It's just like when the first big PS5 game comes out, that's when I'd actually want to buy it, you know?
Yeah, and launch titles have always been really hit or miss. Like I remember the PS4, like now you play PS4 games for the exclusives, but launch titles were kind of crap. For the
Exactly.
for the most part, it was kind of mediocre. And then
I
I
think it's
remember on
like
the Xbox, it
Infamous that
was
came out.
yeah, Second Son was fun. Drive Club, no one plays that anymore. There are better racing games out there.
Yeah.
And then on Xbox, it was like Rise, Son of Rome, which is like what it's an on rails. It's like playing Rambo with a sword. You know,
Yeah.
not as fun these days, especially when you've got shit like God of War, which is
Yeah,
just
exactly.
pushing the envelope in terms of over the shoulder ridiculous hack and slash.
Right.
I still need to finish God of War. I will at one point.
Yeah. For me, the PS5, the big stuff that came out for me was I'm excited for New Horizon.
Yes.
I didn't love the first Horizon. I just played that recently during quarantine.
Mhm.
I thought it was like looked beautiful. It played pretty well, but like the formula was like really mid mid 2010s type of stuff, 2015. It felt like that kind of game where just a bunch of icons on a map, and
Right.
it just doesn't age as well as you want it to be. And
It
I
felt like
didn't
a
think
Ubisoft game.
yeah, exactly. So it was
I
just
get
like
that.
I can see if like a really polished version, like a 2020 Horizon, would be fucking awesome. So hopefully they do something cool with that.
Yeah, and the
Uh,
trailer looked gorgeous too.
oh, for sure. It
It,
looks good now.
yeah,
So-
they do that. Yes, they do that
yeah.
to get us hyped, but it did look fantastic, really colorful. So I
Mhm.
hope a lot of that translates. I'm always a fan of really nice looking landscapes.
Yeah. And Little Devil Inside looks amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. Oh my god, I totally forgot about that one. It's. I'm not sure what to make of it.
I don't.
It's
Neither do
cool.
I. I just like it. It just excites me. And the other one
Mhm.
thing that excites me, unironically, just because that theme song slaps, is Bug Snacks.
Bugsnax is terrifying, and
I
why?
know. I fucking love it. I don't know. I know a lot of people hate on it. It's like very
Hmm.
polarizing. People either love it
Oh
for
yeah,
no reason,
totally.
like me, and people either hate it because it looks terrifying. And I'm on the boat of like, hey, give it to me. I don't know what this game is, but that theme song fucking rules. So
So yes, please.
yeah, exactly.
True, true. And yeah, there was a bunch of other hype stuff that I hope holds up.
Yeah.
A few of which are coming to PC as well, so I'll grab them on Steam,
Yeah.
and eventually buy a PS5. It's fun.
Yeah. Let's go into one last news story
Yeah, yeah.
before we jump into the movie of the week. Actually, well, no, this I'll just offhand say this that San Diego Comic Con is now at home thing, so at least we still
Right.
get that this year.
Hmm.
But the thing that I really wanted to talk about, well, we don't have to dive too deep, but this has never happened before. The Academy has pushed the date for the awards, so it's now
Yes.
April 25th. And they changed the kind of criteria for movies yet again, uh,
Hmm.
ever so changing all the time with the Academy.
It only took a pandemic
Yeah, no
for
kidding.
for them to admit more streaming movies.
Yeah, for sure. It should always have been the case. It's so dumb that it wasn't before, but hey, we're finally
Yeah,
there.
we
Um,
made it.
well, the Academy
Yes.
has a lot to
The
work
the
on,
the
but this is a good step.
Of course, yeah. And I mean, the push makes sense. They're trying to make sure that people can still attend by April instead of March. That's a good call. They also changed the Best Picture category. I think it's gonna be 10 movies from now on now, which I'm
Good.
I'm totally cool with. Yeah, there are way more than 10 movies that came out in 2019 that should have been nominated for Best Picture, and
100%.
so to pick only eight is stupid. Even though Parasite would have beaten them all. Just just
Yeah,
making sure we're all aware.
exactly.
So yeah, that's a solid change. And I'm
For sure.
totally cool with it. And I've already seen some movies this year that I think should be nominated. Even though we're barely halfway through.
We'll
I've seen
see if
some
they
good
even
shit.
come out this year. So.
I know. Oh,
uh,
God damn it! In the
well,
heights.
speaking of movies,
Yes, yes,
what
yes,
is our
yes.
movie of the week, Axe? You picked it.
Yes, our movie of the week is Good Time.
Damned always act.
You need another 10 grand. You get another 10 grand, your brother will get out.
The truth is an act of love.
I think something very important is happening and it's deeply connected to my purpose.
Every day
Directed by Josh and Benny Safdie, released in 2017, I believe.
Yep.
Yes, yes, yes.
Axe, why did you pick this movie?
So I think the main reason is just because I hadn't watched it yet, and it was on my watch list for a long time, like since I saw that it was available. But I also I watched Uncut Gems. I got to check it out, before Quar hit and before it hit Netflix, and I thought it was a hell of a time.
Me too.
I was stressed the entire time. I was laughing. I was nervous laughing sometimes because holy shit, this guy won't stop. Like, you have the money. What are you doing? Going to gamble it all away again?
Yeah.
It was, yeah. So it was a hell of a ride. And then I was told that Good Time was very similar, and that's kind of a hallmark of the Safdie brothers. So,
I also
so I really
was,
wanted to check it out.
and me too, exact same boat. And the other thing was that people have been talking about this movie for so long because they're saying when first when people are like, Robert Pattinson is Batman, blah, blah, blah. An actor can't be more than one thing. I can't
Yeah.
comprehend that. It's like, well, they're actors. They can, that's their job is
They can,
to,
yeah, they can do whatever.
So when they said Robert Pattinson was Batman, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. He'd probably do a great job. And then people shat on him. And then other people were like, you should watch Good Time to see him in a different role. And then you can kind of see how he can play multiple different things. And
Yeah,
we
that
definitely
was
see that in this movie.
Yeah, that was another reason too. Like I've been championing both Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart since seeing what they've done since Twilight, because they're both just really good, really accomplished actors. It's just that Twilight was ass. So
But it made a ton of money, so
yes,
good for them.
but they've made such weird, ridiculous, awesome choices since then that I've liked a lot of the other shit I've seen them in. And yeah, Good Time is definitely one of them.
I
For
think
sure. Robert
it's
Pattinson
an
was great.
amazing career move. Personally, if you like cash in on like this big franchise early on your career, and that way everything else afterwards can just be like, hey, I'll just do whatever the fuck movie I want.
Yes, and then they stand out a lot of the time when they pick up some good steam. They will stand out, and you'll get that familiar story of, oh shit, this person is actually a good actor in every single review, and just laugh a little bit. I hope I hope our Pats and Kristen Stewart are laughing a little bit.
I hope so too.
Because yeah, they've done some crazy stuff. It's the same with other people who have cashed in on big things. Like Daniel Radcliffe doesn't give a fuck.
He should. He's
done,
good though. He's good at a lot of stuff.
He's done a lot of really good stuff. And he's a really, really good accomplished actor. You got Chadwick Boseman as well. He had done some really good stuff before Black Panther, and after Black Panther, he's still doing it.
Oh, cool. I haven't seen him in too much.
Fun.
I should definitely check some stuff out that he's done.
Yes, totally. He plays James Brown in a biopic called Get On Up. He plays Jackie Robinson in a biopic called 42. He was in The Five Bloods, which came out recently.
I heard that movie's good.
I loved it. Yeah, for sure.
So with Good Time here now, let's start very basic and say, did you like it? Did you have a good time?
I did. I did not. I mean, I did not have a good time, but I feel like that's the Safdie brothers' goal. Like the goal, right? Like, yeah, right. You see those kinds of movies that are sometimes it's because they're disturbing. Sometimes it's because you're stressed. This one is definitely because you get stressed the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah, you recognize that they're a friggin' roller coaster ride.
Right.
And then you realize at the end that, oh shit, that was dope. that was a good time.
I also exactly. And so I'm going to recap a synopsis for everyone, just a one-word thing or one-sentence thing. A bank robber stops at nothing to free his brother from prison, launching himself into a night-long odyssey through New York's dark and dangerous criminal underworld. Yeah, I like this movie quite a lot. I also love the soundtrack. I guess just seeing the two Safdie brother stuff, it's like a really it really drives the movie and makes you feel uncomfortable, which is what they're going for.
I was gonna say, like, put a synthesizer in and I'm down.
Yeah.
Like the more synths, the better.
Now I can't.
So cool.
I think I like Uncut Gems more personally because it makes me even more uncomfortable, I guess.
Yeah.
And I think this overall story arc of Uncut Gems I liked more. However, I really liked Arpatz's acting in this movie. He really surprised me, and I like the stuff that goes on. But once the movie ends, I'm like, oh, okay. It's interesting because he doesn't get he does get his, like he just he ends up in prison.
Yeah, he loses. Essentially everybody does, but like, and that hit me in an odd way. Especially you see at the end the way shit went down for his brother, like, and his brother essentially getting help. And then the credits just rolling. I thought that was a really cool ending that kind of surprised me in how touching it was in a weird way.
Right. Of course, we are spoiling stuff. I guess we kind of already did, but we do this every Talking Tongue episode. Okay. You should know this by now. Real Watch it. It's on Netflix.
Step the game up. It was real good. I loved like, technically it was similar to Uncut Gems in that every other shot was really uncomfortably close. Yeah. Like, why do I need to see Robert Pattinson's acne as he's walking down this hospital hallway? because I need to feel like I'm right there with him. So it makes sense. And it helps to add to that sense of urgency and discomfort that they're trying to put through to weave into the entire movie. So it works really well. It's just Had
Yeah.
to take a breath.
I so Laura, she kind of was watching this while she was doing a puzzle while watching the movie, and she did not like the movie whatsoever. Although she wasn't really paying attention, but at the same
Dang.
time, she didn't like the movie at all. It's not her type of movie. It's really dark. There's a lot of like, it's I don't know. It's low lit. It's kind of grim, and she said the movie was
Yes.
basically about nothing. I disagree with that, um, but yeah, did you have anything in the movie that like stood out to you at all, or did you like the story, or?
Yeah, the story. I get that. Like, I can definitely understand thinking that it's about nothing, because it's really just about a couple of dudes who try to knock over a bank and shit goes wrong. And it's not even and the story isn't presented in that kind of botched bank robbery sort of way where
Yeah.
shit goes wrong in spectacular fashion. But it does go wrong in spectacular fashion. Like, and I think from the moment where the paint bomb goes off that was planted in their bag,
Oh
the movie
yeah.
doesn't really let you go afterwards.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that was better for it in presenting a story about just one deadbeat guy and his brother that gets roped into these things because he can be argued that he doesn't really know better, or he just trusts his brother to get him out of these situations,
Right.
sometimes unsuccessfully. Yeah, it was a cool way to present a story about nothing, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I agree. And the movie is ultimately, yeah, I can see why someone would look at this and not think it's about nothing, but kind of how I view Last Jedi in a lot of ways,
Really?
no, is that it's a losing battle. That's what the movie's about. And I think when you
Yes.
see movies like this, or you feel a little unfulfilled, you'd be like, wait a second, they didn't win. I don't get it. Like,
Hmm.
but it's not supposed to be about that. It's kind of like, it's just shows you how this guy keeps making the wrong decisions and
Hmm.
ultimately ends up in jail, you know? So that's kind of how I view it. It's like, hey, this guy's making all the wrong decisions. We're seeing it on screen, and he tries to continually try to fix things, but ultimately makes it worse by basically kind of slowly agitating the man, and like, making the wrong decisions in the way that he like beats up the security guard and makes things worse this way, or he's
Yeah.
like, hey, I'm gonna uh, basically take advantage of these nice people who took me in, and my brother, quote unquote, that I stole from the on the hospital, who ends up being the
Yeah.
wrong guy.
Hilarious. Honestly, just unintentionally fucking funny
Yeah,
that even
so
happened.
crazy. I did feel very uncomfortable when he started making out with the 16-year-old girl.
Yep. Absolutely.
That
That was
was oof, oof, not good.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I mean, it was not not that situation specifically, but Uncut Gems was also a lot about someone making the wrong decisions and like
Yeah.
just thinking in the short term as opposed to making what everyone else thinks and knows is the right call. Um, so I guess Good Time did it first, and
Yeah.
Uncut Gems, took all the. I mean, not the credit, but I guess the credit. Took it and ran with it with Adam Sandler.
Exactly. Why do you think it's called Good Time?
I think I think it might have had something to do with some of the lines at the very end.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I think someone. Yeah, I think the who was it? I think her name was Aubrey, who was leading the class at the very end,
Mm-hmm.
was saying that we're gonna have a good time. Was mentioning that to Nick, but otherwise I couldn't be
Oh.
sure. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's kind of where it clicked for me, which is hilarious because it's right at the end of the movie. But yeah, I guess
Interesting.
otherwise I'm not really sure. It might be something to do with like the way Robert Pattinson's character Connie kind of just leads Nick along, and is
Right.
taking advantage of his brother in a way as well. Though I mean, it is kind of shown that yes, he loves his brother and wants to protect him, but he's also not very good for him in that he's not getting him the help that he would need.
Yeah, and his brother is how do you say, he is special, you know,
Mentally challenged, mentally
mentally
ill.
challenged. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And he's played by one of the Safdie brothers, which is really cool.
Yes, definitely.
Um,
I haven't seen Benny Safdie in anything else,
Same here.
that
And I
was
thought that was a
surprising
really cool performance from
for
him,
sure.
like really nice. And but you can tell it's just like this brother, he doesn't know. He cares about his brother too. They both care for each other. But you're right. It's like Connie is not good for him. So, but he keeps trying to like push. He's like, hey man, like we can, if we rob this bank, then we can like move away and I can get you anything you want and we can just live a good life, blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. And, yeah, that shit just goes down. But Connie's terrible and he keeps taking advantage of people who love him. Like
Yes.
this girl or this woman who he tries to like take $10,000 from basically.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think that was according to the casting notes, that was his mom. Like Jennifer
Oh, yeah?
Jason Lee, yeah, played his mom, and then his grandma was the other lady.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think she's got her own issues, but yeah, that whole scene was just uncomfortable to watch too. One, because again, very close up shots with this sleazy lawyer type
So sleazy.
that they were talking to, but also just the way he's trying to snake thousands of dollars out of his mom was just not down.
Yeah, nope. Let's see. Anything else that stands out for you here? I wrote a bunch of random notes throughout the thing.
Oh, I liked the length. It's just over 100 minutes. I think is something I like about movies these days. Like
Yes.
I want more movies that don't really waste time necessarily, that just
Yep.
tell their story not necessarily as quickly as possible, but that are properly paced and don't need to be 2.5 hours long to tell a good
Or
story.
3 hours. Or-
Yes. Or 3.5 hours.
There's only a couple movies that I allow to be that long because I'm a
Uh-huh.
sucker for them. Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, right.
Avengers.
I watched Return of the King a while ago, and I watched the extended edition, which is 4.5 hours long. And at the end, I'm like, I keep telling myself that this is too long, this is excessive, and then I watch it and go, yeah, there's nothing I'd cut.
Yeah.
This was all necessary.
For
Screw
that
it.
stuff, I don't mind. I keep going back to things like It Chapter 2 and
Yeah, that was a lot, but it was fun.
The Irishman. Like those movies are too long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But this movie, you're right. Like it was like an hour 40 minutes, I think, and
which
it was
helped
just,
it. It was properly paced, and it was urgent and in a hurry, in a good way.
Mhm.
And I think Uncut Gems is similar too. Oh no, I mean
Yeah.
2 hours 15 minutes, but they just took their formula and lengthened it. Whatever.
Yeah.
It was.
What
Yeah,
did
it
you
was.
think about the guy that he ends up stealing and ends up being his like kind of
Gray.
crime partner for like half the movie?
It was. He was. I thought he was really good. He was
Mhm.
really good. He was, an asshole and a criminal, obviously, but yeah, really, really well portrayed. The story of how he got to the hospital, I thought was really like unintentionally funny. Just the way the way it goes through the flashback and how he just legit just jumped out of a car that was going.
Oh, I
40
love
miles an
that
hour.
because it's kind of like he just ends up talking to himself and then
Yeah.
suddenly dives into his past without
Just-
like Connie even asking him to do so.
Exactly. I mean that kind of character I think also adds to the movie's urgency, and I think it was really well pulled off by the actor, who I haven't seen in many things. I think he was in another Safdie Brothers movie, but I also have to check that out. But yeah, he was really good, and I liked Barkhad Abdi played the security guard. I haven't seen him in anything. I think he was in a sci-fi flick at one point. He was in Blade Runner. He was in 2049.
Oh, cool.
That's where I saw him after seeing him in Captain Phillips.
Yo, he is a brave security officer, I have to say.
Right?
Like he kind of just like throws punches and like he has no fear of like confronting two criminals basically. Although to be fair, he gets definitely decimated by Robert Pattinson.
Oh, for damn sure.
Which is very sad.
There's also a theory that like I saw it on Reddit after looking up and watching the movie. Apparently he might have been part of a dogfighting ring, which is why like he's got a huge like pit bull looking dog and the nice apartment, and the way that Connie left the apartment in a hurry. A lot of people are suggesting that he found like dogfighting money or like winnings in that room where he was with the dog before like leaving in a hurry.
Right. That room at the end, that was his apartment or his
That was apparently the security guard's apartment.
guards? Okay, that makes way more sense for sure. Because I was like, this can't be Connie's, but whose is it? And I got kind of confused.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if the security guard was a dog fighter, but it's an interesting take. And I was like, all right, if I watch this
Yeah.
again, I'll definitely keep that in mind. It
Yeah.
was cool.
Yeah. Anything else stand out to you about this movie?
Hmm. It's a 100-minute panic attack. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think what else. Yeah, no, like I like to log movies I watch on a website I use and make lists and stuff. So this one is definitely going into like
Letterbox.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like going into like this one's going into like disturbing list.
Oh, nice. I'm so bad with using that site. I was trying to do it for a little while, but then I ended
Oh,
up
I love it.
knowing that like I'm really bad at rating stuff. And I will always give a movie like 3 to 4 stars, but never five usually, and
Yeah,
never one.
me
So
too
it's like,
yeah,
what am
me
I
too
doing?
to an extent, me too. Like I try to at this point I'm just trying to rate every single movie I watch in a vacuum. Like irrespective of every other movie I've seen, because otherwise, yeah, everything's going to be a 7 out of 10, and then I won't get anywhere.
Exactly.
If it's part of a franchise, I'll compare it to the other movies, obviously, and probably rank them all.
Mhm.
But if it's an individual film, like I don't care that I gave like what is it? I rated some stuff recently. I gave Once Upon a Time in Hollywood a 6 out of 10, and then
Oof.
yeah, and then what else did I give a 6 out of 10? Zombieland Double Tap.
Oh,
Wildly different movies,
yeah.
but I don't care. They're both about a 6 out of 10, and that's totally fine with me, and I can sleep fine.
Sleep fine knowing that.
Yes.
Well, I guess
Uh,
that kind of fits with I'm like 3.5 for those movies,
mhm.
stars, I would say, which is also an arbitrary scale. So who knows?
Yeah, right. Like I don't. I don't need. I don't need every movie to be compared to the other, because I think that's just
Yeah,
me getting in
that's
the way of
fair.
myself.
And the very ending where the criminal who basically tries to dodge the police and
Yeah.
ends up falling from like several stories high.
Yes.
How did that impact you, or did that feel? Because he was basically trying to like A, escape, but B, try to get the bottle of
Yeah. She's trying to
Sprite,
climb.
which had acid.
Yes, he's trying to climb down the building. That green Sprite bottle, Jesus friggin' Christ! Uh,
Yeah.
for
Well,
like,
I'm just like, how much acid is in here that acid is like so valuable that you got to get that green bottle? Like, don't you have more? Or like, I don't
I
understand.
guess not. Or I mean, it's kind of maybe it's an involved process to make, which they kind of go into with a few shots.
Or maybe it has like fingerprints on it, and they need to
Yeah,
get it before the cops find. Maybe that's what it is.
I assumed it's a shit ton because Connie wanted $10,000 for it, or like 15 later on. But then also, um, I was definitely like nervous and kind of fucked up when they poured it into the security guard's mouth.
Oh
So
my
I think the
god!
way they framed the Sprite bottle was very effective.
Yeah,
Really effective in just making me think, oh shit, that's a lot of acid. Ah,
I want to say. Maybe it's too topical, but black people aren't treated very well in this movie.
oh,
I have to
absolutely
say,
not, for sure. It's
all
that.
of them get taken advantage if it's kind of gross.
Yeah, it's definitely one thing that stood out as I was watching, especially since the older lady who invited them into her house, that's definitely a Haitian accent. Like I
Oh yeah,
grew up around that accent whenever someone spoke English. Absolutely, it's spot on. So that kind of hit a little, and was like,
huh?
holy shit, leave these people alone. Or holy shit, why are all these black people being treated so poorly, while the white guy
Yeah,
tries to get away with it? Which I mean, it can't be argued that he ends up in jail, but still,
yeah. Exactly. He ends up in jail and the other guy dies. So I guess they both got theirs.
yeah.
Yeah, sort of. I guess. I don't know. The the shot at the end though, I love that shot where Pats is just looking at the camera. It's one of the posters too. He's just looking at the
Yes.
camera and you see it slow push towards his face, and he's just looking like, holy shit, holy fuck. I really like that.
Yeah,
Cool
absolutely.
cinematography.
Lots of really cool use of cinematography, like both in the close-up shots and the wider stuff. It was so like, did it feel odd to you when when the camera went outside the apartment building and looked down at the ground, and it's just
Oh,
I think that was like a wider shot than anything I'd seen in the movie
so
so far.
cool. I
So
loved it because it is
it was so
it was
odd.
amazing. Because you're like, oh yeah, this is how this guy would try to escape, and look, and now he's caught. I
Yeah.
just love it. That's cool.
Jeez.
All right, Axe. I know you said you don't like rating stuff, but we're gonna rate something on an arbitrary scale. Okay.
Okay.
So what would you rate Good Time on
I would
whatever scale you want?
I would give it 4 acid-filled Sprite bottles out of 5.
Wow. I think that's good.
I think that gets the point across.
I think so
Well
too. I'm glad you got us to watch this movie. I've been wanting. It was been on my radar for a very long time.
Yeah, I need to check out some other stuff on my list.
Now, Axe, we're at the end of the show for Talking Tongue, but before we go, we got to ask, do you have any plugs for the people? I know it's a weird time for plugs, but if you don't have any personal artistic plugs, maybe you want to spread some art to the world, recommend some games, movies, TV, whatever you want.
For sure. Well, let's see. I mean, I'm trying to line up some theater that I can do later on. So, hopefully I have stuff happening in the fall and winter. But in terms of stuff I've been consuming, definitely. I mean, if you want camp and ridiculousness, I just started watching season 2 of The Politician, which, as a Ryan Murphy show, is just so out there. It's ridiculous and stupid, and I love every second, but I also hate it. That kind of thing, kind of like watching Grey's Anatomy.
Okay, I see. Is Ryan Murphy the one who made? Wait, who? What did he do?
Ryan Murphy did Glee as well as
Glee?
American
Okay.
Horror Story and a couple other things. So
And
Camp,
Ben Platt.
yeah, exactly. Camp is his middle name. What else? In terms of games, right now all I'm playing is this roguelike called Hades. It's
I've heard of that.
Yes, it's from Supergiant Games, the same people who did Bastion and Transistor and Pyre. It's in early access with, I think, a slated release at the like a 1.0 release at the end of this month. But the amount of content in this game already is absolutely insane.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I love it. Both because it's an isometric hack and slash roguelike. So it plays a lot like Bastion if you played that. It's like a like a bird's eye view, and you're killing enemies on like a flat plane. But it's about the son of Hades and Persephone, who is fictional, trying to escape Hades' domain and go see his mom on the real world. So you're trying to do that over and over and over, and that's what the roguelike aspect is. Lots of voice dialogue, lots of beautiful art, really deep, easy but easy to learn gameplay. And yeah, I like it a lot. And I can't wait for the 1.0 release. It's on Steam and on the Epic Game Store, and I hope it comes to other consoles later on because everybody would love it. Otherwise, I just started playing Monster Hunter World, but that came out like 2 years ago.
Dang, you're all over the place here. This is great.
It's fun. Like you craft weapons, and then you go out and you jump on top of a fire-breathing dinosaur and kill it, and repeat the process in order to craft new weapons. That's a dope model.
Plenty of games. Thank you, Axe. Thank you
sure.
for recommending this stuff. I think this is very helpful, especially during quarantine. Now, for me, you can check out the rest of the shows in the Pod Cavern at www.podcavern.com. I have plugs like Play Last of Us. Great game.
Yes.
There is also a ton of great bundles. Some of them just ended for video games. We've been talking a lot about video games on this today's episode. There was just the Black Lives Matter support bundle, which was fucking insane at itch.io.
I grabbed
$5, hopefully more, but $5, and you get like I think towards the end of this, there was 2,000 games that you could have got.
I bought it when there was 700, and then I went into my itch.io account and was like, wait, what the hell are all these? So I definitely have like a good 1,300 at least. It's nuts. And then Humble Bundle has another one as well right now, which is, I think it's more expensive. I think it's 43 Canadian that I paid, but it's got some awesome looking games on there. A lot of like modern classics, stuff that people really should play, and a lot of really good books that I added to my Kindle, a few comics too. So I was glad to see all of that. Lots of good nonfiction, like about Black history that I was looking into reading.
Fucking love it. All right, Axe, we're at the end of the show, but before we go, we got to hear your catchphrase. What is it?
Damn it. Shit. I should have thought of this earlier. Something to do with good times. Good time.
Amazing.
Good time is not a good time, but you'll have a good time.
I love it. That's a perfect catchphrase. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Axe. We'll see you next time.
Take care.